What's up, troopers? We are continuing our run on battle cards. We're here to this time talk about another primary objective. This is the one that has all the POIs, Mike. Recover the research. This one, this one is unique in a couple different ways. Obviously, it is the one that has six POIs, and then it's also the one where I believe this is the only one with purely non-competitive scoring. Is that right, Mike? Purely non-competitive.
Purely, yes. I guess is the only one that is 100% non-competitive. I
Right.
suppose, though I think it's technically possible to win intercept signals with
It is possible. Yeah,
that.
intercept is like half non-competitive for sure because the intel tokens thing. But yeah, like what's the thing about recover the research if it's not that sort of jumps out to you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, so recover the research is a objective where you can really quite literally turn activations into points in a way that you kind of can't on other objectives. I really enjoy this objective. I think it's the most interesting one
Hmm.
from a being able to play the game and like have it. I don't know. I strategically, I think it's really interesting to be able to be like, this unit, I'm trading this 45 points in for a victory point, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
And so I think, and I think basically, as long as you have more than like 8 activations on your list, I think this is a really awesome one to just, it's like pretty fair. It's like, there's not like a ton of like, I'm advantaged or you're advantaged. It does emphasize a little bit more than some on spreading out, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like wildly so. You can kind of decide where you're going to spread out, whereas like if you're playing like breakthrough or intercept signals or whatever, your decisions are kind of made for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
So recovery, you can kind of be like, I'm picking these 4 points. These 4 points are going to be mine. A couple key things about recover the research: you should always score 3 points every turn. If you do not score 3 points on a recover the research turn, you are behind. You are probably going to lose the game.
For any fans of Glengarry Glen Ross, ABC always be scoring
Yes,
on recover the
and
research.
and this is possibly more. I think it's more important on this objective. That's true about every objective we're ever going
Yeah.
to talk
Yeah.
about. However, I think recover the research it is more true than most.
Because it is non-competitive.
Because it is non-competitive, yes. You can't secure a point and deny your opponent points
Yeah.
if as long as they have things left, right?
Right.
Like they
Right.
can just like toss a dude into melee with your guys on that point, and that dude is completely safe for the rest of the turn, and they're scoring it, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah. And I should be more clear. Just what we mean by non-competitive is that you can outnumber an opponent on a particular point, but as long as like each of you is on that point, you're both scoring from that the same, and the scoring that matters is like how many you have, which is to say that you're always aiming for four every round, starting with round two, in order to get the three VPs maximum. Because if you fall behind, then you would get to the point where you're relying on either getting them to a point where they're falling behind by one, which is not easy, especially against certain lists that are either very numerous or very fast or even both. To be able to chase down all those units and truly deny them, totally deny presence, which is what you have to do to keep them from scoring points, or you're relying on the secondary, which can be fraud in its own way. So yeah, like always be scoring.
Yeah. What you should be looking to do on this objective is basically you're going to pick 4 points that are going to be your scoring points.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend having a backup plan. And in that backup plan, it's good if you have like a speeder bike in your backfield that's like ready to like maybe jump onto multiple points at the
Yes.
tail end of a turn or something like that. Mandos can do that. Bad Batch on their 3-pip are pretty good at that.
Geonosians are pretty good at it.
Geonosians
Yeah.
are great at it, right?
Yeah.
Vehicles in general are pretty good because they just like their bases are so big and you know but simultaneously, you should be looking to towards the tail end of a turn find a POI that your opponent is presently contesting and kind of be able to figure out if there's a situation you can engineer where you can delete that unit and they can't replace it.
Yes.
That is the opportunity that you are looking for. If you can find that opportunity in the game and execute on it and make it so that that opportunity goes away for them, you generally can win the game off the back of doing that just once. If you can do it
And
multiple times, great. But
right, and there's basically two ways to do that. Is that A, you can just like destroy the unit, so that's sort of the simple way. But then there's multiple other ways that you can force the unit off without having to roll any dice, and the sort of the most obvious of those is force push. Force push can single actionedly win games of recover the research. If you know you're in a place where your opponent either doesn't have a way to respond to it, or if they weren't prepared for it, then you know Darth Vader doesn't have to roll a single dang dice. Is that you know as long as he can. There are situations where Darth Vader will burst with speed and then do a crappy saber throw shot, but the reason why he did it was to move speed 3 twice, to be able to force push a unit off of a point to the degree that your opponent is no longer scoring the maximum of 3 points in that round. And then there's other things. Speaking of Vader, there's Vader's Might, there's Dooku's 3-pip. Those are also very nice for that. There may even be situations where you will use the trick of engaging an opponent on a mini that is far enough outside that you can pull them off. Ideally, your opponent will have been like using cohesion in a way that prevents that, but it's certainly a thing that can happen. Whether it's that or whether it's actually killing the unit, I agree that trying to make a late round move to make that happen to the degree that your opponent can't respond and flex to that with their own speeder or geo or whatever, that's how you can just win the game. Because like after that point, then it's almost like sort of the old days of sabotage the moisture evaporators, is that you're in a position where you get like playing defense.
yep,
And you actually all you need to do is exist on 4 points for the next 3 turns of the game or whatever, 2 turns, and then you've got it. So yeah, in recover the research, sometimes a single play is what actually makes the whole thing go one way or the other.
yeah. To that end, I would make sure that basically you always have 2 or 3 units that can flex to multiple. Like each recover point should probably have 2 or 3 units that can get there minimum.
Yeah.
Like if you end up in a situation where you only have 1 unit that can get to 1 point, and that's your 4th point, like your opponent's going to go after that unit.
Yeah.
Like that's priority 1, and they're going to try and make it so that doesn't happen. Suppression also can be used in this way.
For sure.
You know?
That's the
Like,
third way actually. You can panic the unit for sure.
you can panic units off the points. That happens, frankly, quite a lot. Ordnance can be very good, or Stravian Run can be very good on this objective for that reason. You'll generally only have to panic 1 unit.
And that's where you can get into trouble with having a wider deployment strategy, because if you do have like a single B1 that is hanging on to the point like way the heck over there, and their commander is more than range 3 away, then you're talking about a single Deca or a range trooper or clone mortar shot, and then that B1 is no longer contributing to that point, and you're in big trouble.
Yep.
So yeah, don't let that happen to you, Mike. I'm curious. What's your default arrangement? Is it the square or is it the L? When you're talking about the 4, because like it's sort of like the 2 Tetris pieces, right? And obviously, there's different things that can happen, especially if you do have speeders. You might be in a place where you're actually like diving your opponent's weak side way on the other side of the board. But the most common is that you have like 4, usually the 4 on the side that you deployed on, or the 3 on the long edge that you deployed on, and then 1 additional 1. Like, what do you usually go for?
So I think I have a modified strategy.
Okay.
I think I'm your square strategy is actually my triangle strategy. And so I
Phil
take
Jackson over here.
Yeah, the two points that are in front of me and to the right, and the one directly across from them are my three. I'm taking these every time.
Sure.
And then I generally, depending on how my opponent deploys, will pick one of the
You
other
flex to either
three.
the L or the square at that point.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But that triangle is
Got
always
to get that
so
triangle.
got to get the triangle, and you can kind of like set it up so that like if you have, I mean, most lists at this point should probably have at least one fast mover in them. Frankly, like if your list doesn't have something that can move
Don't run cover
fast,
the research if you don't have a fast mover. I think that's generally a pretty good thing to say.
I would go farther than that and say that if your list doesn't have a fast mover in it at all, you're
To run the
probably
list.
making a mistake. you know, and again, there's a lot of things that fit in that category. Any
Yeah.
vehicle I put in that category because of its base size and double moving generally gets you where you need to go.
Mandos, Geos.
Mandos, Geos, etc. I think force users fit that. Force movers with
Yeah,
bursts of
if they have
speed
burst, then
fit
they
that
can be a
category,
fast mover once. Yeah.
Yeah. But the big thing is you want to be able to present your opponent with not knowing which one you're going to take.
Yeah.
Is important to me.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Because it's an ideal situation if your opponent ends up committing more forces to like their corner
Yep.
than they actually have to, which means that the points that you want to hold on to are less contested.
Yep.
So to put everything together, Mike, I think that we can sort of summarize by saying that recover the research is one where you always want to be scoring. So again, always be scoring. You want to ideally have at least a couple fast movers on your end so that you can take advantage of mismatches. You don't want to deploy in such a way where you are vulnerable to panicking. And if possible, try to like make your opponent guess as far as where the meatiest part of your army is.
Yeah.
That,
I would
is
add
that a fair way to summarize?
Yes, I would add one more thing, and that
Okay.
is you are going to want at least one. And again, this is a thing that's like pretty true overall, but I think it is important more so for this objective than others. A unit that is either throwaway or range 4 to put on your back right point.
That can contribute and do something while it sits there the whole game on your back point.
Yes, for sure. It's possible that sometimes if your opponent is contesting like you're closer 2 points, that like a range 3 unit is sufficient in order for it to contribute. But generally speaking, a range 4 unit kind of like locks that down. And, obviously a unit that is just kind of a point scoring unit is also fine in that capacity. But
Bosk loves nothing more than just sit there on your back POI and shoot and suppress people from across the board.
yeah,
So
he's a little fragile for my taste these days, but yes.
yeah, I mean that's why it's a good place for him because it's generally not going to be super contested by your opponent on that far corner. But yeah. So anything else from Recover the Research, Mike?
No, it's pretty generic. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to like figure out what's going on here. I will say the games of Recover the Research vastly change based on the secondary you're playing often.
Yeah, because often you will be both scoring 3, and then the difference in the game may come down to who gets the late round surface scan panic or something like that.
Yeah, and in this objective, unlike I think a lot of objectives, comes down to tiebreakers more because often you're like just racing to 12.
Yep.
And because of that, you should prioritize complete unit kills a little bit more than you otherwise would.
Yep.
Frankly.
Yeah, just because it might be a tie game, and then the kill points are what matters at that point.
Yeah.
Very fair. Okay, well, that's Recover the Research. We appreciate y'all watching and listening, and consider checking out the Patreon if you like what we're doing here. But otherwise, we'll see you on the next TFT mini.